What up, Hyperchange? Welcome to another episode. Today, we're going to be talking about Tesla's potential in India, the timeline of when they will enter the Indian market. This is something that I made a video about almost 3 years ago, and like way back when I was starting my channel, totally blew me away how much interest I got from people in India, subscribers. Just people were pumped about this idea of Tesla in India, factory potential for a factory there. Recently, Elon Musk has tweeted. And actually, if you give me a thumbs up, if you can hear me, that would be awesome. I got this new mic for live stream, so I'm hoping it works and the sound quality is better. And I'm live streaming in a new spot, so I hope y'all can hear me. Give me a thumbs up if the audio is okay. And anyway, so let's just get into it. So actually, shout out to Vivas from Benchmark, who I had on the channel before talking about the lithium supply industry. He just hopped on the phone with me to talk a little bit about India, the raw material industry there. So been scheming on this. And so Tesla, the reason why Tesla, I mean, India, massive opportunity. It's, 1.3 billion people on track to be the highest or the most populous country in the world in just less than 10 years, potentially. I think the economic impact of that will if you're the most populous country in the world, your potential to have a rapidly growing economy, it's going to lag that population growth, but it's going to be huge. And so I think India's opportunity in my lifetime, I'm 27, over the next 50 years, if I think of country geographies that matter, China, Africa, India, these are like exciting opportunities for massive growth, 1.3 billion young people. And we're already seeing the GDP growth rapidly. India's been booming at 6 or 7% GDP growth. And I do want to do a full video with like all charts and slides and numbers about all of this soon. So don't worry if I'm going through too many numbers here. But the point is, India, massive potential, but still in the very early development stages. And, Tesla, this tied into them because when they launched the Model 3 in 2016, allowed people from India to actually reserve the Model 3. And so people were like, wow, like this is going to be huge. They're going to start entering the Indian market. Indian customers reserved it. And then that sort of started these rumors. And then, of course, classic Elon Musk Tesla style. It's like, oh, we're going to launch in India, next by the end of 2019, sometime in 2020, we hope to launch in India. And it keeps sort of getting kicked down the road. And so I kind of wanted to talk about what the size of the automotive market is in India, what that opportunity looks like, and so because we still don't know. And just 3 or 4 days ago, we got a tweet. Someone tweeted, I guess, who was a reservation holder from India, like, yo, Elon, what's good? Like, it's been 4 years. I've been waiting. And Elon Musk said, sorry, should be soon. So that's what got me thinking. And then I actually tweeted today before I heard that tweet and was like, yo, what's up with Tesla India? Because someone asked me about it and I heard there were rumors. So that's what kind of got me kicked on this, is that Tesla's still been working on it, still planning to launch the Model 3 in India, hoping to have an update soon. So with that lens, let's talk about the Tesla opportunity in India. So India is a very interesting automotive market. So many people, but yet cars per capita sold remarkably low. We're looking at about 4 million annual passenger and commercial cars sold each year out of 100 million in the world. China, 20 million. US, 15 or 20 million. India, just 4 million. So despite having a population quadruple or quintuple the US, they're selling about 1/4 or 1/5 the amount of cars. Massively lower per capita passenger cars. Huge reason of that is it's super, super crowded. The way people are getting around cities isn't actually cars, it's actually 2 or 3 wheelers. And so if you look at them, and these are I'm looking at slides right now, but these are the slides I'm going to make another video about. You're looking at, I need to, like, I'm really sorry if this is choppy. Please, anyway, I'm going to keep going. But so 80% of the domestic vehicle market in 2018, 2019 is 2-wheelers, 3% 3-wheelers. So we have like 85% of the market. Oh, Arcado would kill it, India. You know where I'm going with this. Is 2 to 3-wheel vehicles. Only 13 to 14% of the vehicle sales, or about 15% of that automotive market, is at 4 million vehicle sales, which is fascinating. So we have, super late or kind of like slow to develop transportation industry, but the way it's developing is super focused on mopeds and scooters, not really cars. I mean, but on the flip side, like 3 to 4 million cars sold per year, it's growing rapidly. Like, this is an exploding market, and 3 to 4 million is already pretty big. And so I'm looking at Statista right now. They were selling about 1.5 to 2 million cars about 12 years ago, a decade ago, and now we're selling over 4 million in 2018, a little under in 2019. We'll see, but the trajectory here is exploding. Vehicle sales in India, and for passenger cars, small, rapid growth. I think the near term of, is India going to hit 10 million passenger cars sold a year? Inevitably. Is it 2025? Is it 2030, 2035? Not sure. I think this is what gets me excited, is I think super long term, and I see India as a huge opportunity. And so on one end, you may have noticed, I'm noticing a lot of people commenting, about Jeff Bezos and his electric rickshaw vision. So Jeff Bezos, interestingly, they've been really pushing into India. They see the opportunity here as well. This idea of like electric rickshaws for delivery, more catered for that Indian geography, sort of a three-wheeled, more smaller footprint vehicle. And that's more of an opportunity in India. So that's the way Jeff Bezos and people are playing it. But I do think, I don't know. I'm expecting passenger car sales to grow massively. So now let's talk about the EV supply chain in India, because this is sort of a big Achilles heel and weak point, is the fact that there's no raw materials in India. And so it's going to be very difficult. Like, you either have to import everything. I don't know if they want to do it from China. There's some geopolitical tensions there. Also, battery recycling is going to have to be a heavy focus. So there are lots of different angles to look at this from. But the point being is India is not very strong in really any of the raw materials required to actually execute on battery production. So they would likely have to import all of the batteries. So that is a pretty big headache. The other thing that I think is really interesting about India is the grid is a lot less stable. Like, when I was on the phone doing my India DD, Vivas was saying that the power out in India, the power goes out like once every time he's there. And so the grid is just not really stable. And so if you're charging your electric car, you want supercharger network, you think about all this infrastructure we have in the US, you need to have a very solid electric grid. And that's sort of, as much as that's a problem and will be a barrier to EV adoption, let's think about that opportunity as well, because, as much as cars and electric vehicles and electric maybe mopeds are exciting for India, think about the behind the meter grid applications for storage, for energy, for the ability, well, if there's a ton of blackouts, the incentive to get off the grid, the amount people are willing to pay for power pack, for Powerwall, for solar roof, will be a lot higher. And so I think the stability of the grid in India is as much a hurdle to EV adoption, is also a massive opportunity for Tesla. From maybe Tesla's first entrance into India isn't from cars, it's from Powerwall, power pack, solar roof, solar panels, and allowing this sort of decentralized energy infrastructure to really grow in India, where I see a much bigger demand than passenger vehicles. And so, this is why I love Tesla. Let me get a little sidetracked here, is like, it's really about, you're investing in technology. There's always a lag in the monetization of technology and disruption, especially in the case with Tesla. They have these amazingly high density efficiency batteries that they can produce for a very cheap cost, but they don't have enough of them. And so now it's all about scaling that technology. You think about a company like, or a country, India, so many people, so much opportunity to leverage that technology Tesla's been developing for years. But this, there's no revenue from India on the income statement. There's no cash flow from India on Tesla's financial statement. But do they have the technology that India desperately needs that can unlock billions of value for shareholders? Yes. And so that's why when I think about investing in technologies, like, technological development and products are always going to be way ahead of the curve of actually seeing the financial impact. And so, I think Tesla's battery technology is exactly desperately what India needs, and their solar technology. So, I personally think there's kind of, and I don't want to get people too excited, because I do think there's a lot of governmental roadblocks. India is like one country, but it's almost fragmented into so many different cultures and languages within that country. It's like a bunch of little different countries, and you have 1 billion people. So, that's on one hand. On one hand, it's the second largest English-speaking country in the world, 280 million English speakers, versus, 300 for the US. Oh, shit, thank you for that super chat. Will I do a dedicated video on Neo? Because you just super chatted me, I will. I probably should do one anyway, so thank you for that. But got me a little sidetracked. But India, I think it's tough to do business in India because it's such a big fragmented market. And so, that's one thing. Governmental regulation. I think Elon Musk had some difficult things about, they needed to build a lot of the car in India to actually allow it to sell it there. Some sort of rule about domestic production, not wanting to import too much. And so I think that has been a big roadblock. And my pitch to the Indian government, or anyone in India, like if I was a government official thinking about this, would be like, we need to roll out the red carpet for Tesla. We don't want to give them red tape. Let's go huge into like rolling out the red carpet for Tesla, letting them build a huge battery factory here. Let's get solar panels and batteries going like crazy in India, because I think this has huge potential, more so than the passenger commercial car market, which is going to take years to develop. And so I think this is, that's how I would see more I think about it. The grid is really the opportunity in India, and giving reliable, sustainable electricity to 1.4 billion people, the world's largest, most populous country in the next decade. Game changer. This gets me so pumped. So I would be pushing that if I was the Indian government, like cozying up to Tesla, like what China did, and getting that technology, getting that infrastructure, getting that clean energy, getting jobs, having pollution in every city be reduced dramatically as you input these measures of solar roof and Powerwall. And so That's one big component. Now, the second component I've been thinking a lot about is like, okay, well, there's not a big market for four-wheel cars. China there was. That's why China and India are so different. China had a much more mature automotive market, electric vehicle market. Passenger cars were really a thing culturally there because India is so dense. Like I was saying, it's more two wheels and three-wheel vehicles. So this is what I've been saying. My biggest threat that I think to Tesla is that the vehicle, the four, five passenger sedan, is not the way people get around anymore. Organovo, thanks for that super chat. Shout out. It's a hyperchange one. You want to get around on these 2 to 3 wheel things. Like that's what I've said. The biggest risk to Tesla is that people don't move around in cars. They want something more efficient. Look at what Bird did. People thought Bird and Lime and Scooter were like, or these scooter companies were crazy, a bubble. Like, oh my God, Bird's worth 2 billion. How ridiculous is Silicon Valley? Well, it was also one of the fastest revenue scaling companies of all time. We've almost never seen that type of product market fit and traction instantly with Bird and these scooter programs because people loved it. A personal mobility electric solution to get around on demand is just really a convenient, more fun way to get around than cars in a lot of cities. And it takes up way less space. It's way more energy efficient, it's spatially efficient, it's noise efficient. It's all of these things. And so I've really seen, I think the transportation industry is going to evolve to where the passenger car isn't how we're all going to get around. It's going to be a plethora of diversified vehicles. I think that's the biggest risk that I see to Tesla. If I was like thinking realistically, it's that the people don't want cars. Like, so an Arcimoto is actually more efficient MPGE than a Tesla because it only has 2 seats. So if you're one dude driving around an Arcimoto, it's way more efficient than one dude driving around a Tesla. Like it literally takes less energy, even though their battery technology is, I don't want to say garbage compared to Tesla's, but probably is. Like they're buying Chinese batteries. They don't have Tesla's battery tech, efficiency, cheapness, range, all that stuff. And yet even so, it's more miles per gallon efficient vehicle because of that smaller footprint. And so, when I think about, I've often said that Tesla, I think there's a really big opportunity for them to partner with Arcimoto, like give them batteries, give them drivetrain, little engineering resources, maybe make a strategic equity investment. All of a sudden, instead of selling batteries to Volkswagen, VW, Mercedes, someone who's your competitor, sell it to someone in an adjacent market vertical, that's a startup with the right mission, doing it for the right reasons to change the world, but also because like they're not competing. Like you're getting exposure to these different verticals you don't want to work in, 2 to 3 wheel vehicles where this example, India would be $1 billion market for the Arcimoto. There's a bunch of these like little electric scooter and bike companies in India exploding because of this. So, this is another example of where I'm like, man, if Tesla had strategically invested in Arcimoto, they did have that battery partnership, they could push for Arcimoto to build a local factory there. And that's the perfect vehicle form factor to dominate India. And so this is kind of one of my theories, but kind of on here. But I think, as cities get more dense, this experiment with COVID, we really learned that cars are unnecessary. And it's kind of ugly to have so much of our cities be filled with concrete and these big roads just dedicated to cars that traditionally were burning fossil fuels. Suck. So I think there's just a new way to build cities with different last mile, electric micro mobility solutions. This is a huge, huge opportunity. And India is like the lead geography to commercialize these technologies. And so, I don't know. I think this is fascinating to just have Tesla's technology, watch it play out in different geographies, be thinking it through. Like India is such a different, unique beast of a country. How do we attack this and bring our battery and solar technology into this geography and maximize it? There's so many different things. And like Jeff Bezos, like I said, with that electric rickshaw thing, is basically already building his own Arcimotos for India for deliveries because he thinks that's such a good idea and that's the form factor there. So not only do you have Tesla trying to do this, but Bezos quietly pushing huge into India, not just with goods, but with these electric, vehicle form factors of their electric rickshaw. So I actually think this is like, so what Elon Musk wants to do in China, design that Model 2 car in China of like a car built and designed in China for China and actually put the engineering resources in hubs. Like India would be another perfect example of that localized geographic product R&D strategy of like, well, why don't we build, a factory in India and let some local Indian engineers try and scheme up a way to build the perfect EV, micro EV for the Indian market? Who better do it than that? And so, but I don't know, on one hand, I kind of don't want to get people too hyped because I think it will be a while. I don't know. I just think this is such a fascinating part of the thesis of like, what's next on the horizon? We all know Berlin. We all know Gigafactory Shanghai. We all know, big China expansion, European expansion. What's next? Where's the next big, Austin factory? We know that. But where's the real next thing that Tesla does that blows all our minds? That is the next thing we're all talking about. I think India's gonna happen, but is it 2024 before they figure out how to build a factory there and get in with the government and actually sell something? It could be. which is kind of a bummer. But that's kind of my wake up call to the Indian government is like move quickly, partner with Tesla, get your battery. I think the Powerwall Power Pack thing is the way to do it there. So anyway, what's up with you guys? Oh, actually, I guess to close, I did buy a tiny bit of Arcimoto stock today, since I'm talking about them. So shout out to Mark for that. Anyway, can I get some questions from everybody on the live stream here? Would love to answer any of your thoughts about India, and this because I do want to, high level summary here: 1.4 billion people, potentially largest, most populous country, 4 million in rapidly rising commercial vehicles sold per year, 20 million micro 2 to 3 wheeled cars sold per year. Huge opportunity to fix the grid as well. When will Tesla enter it? They're definitely scheming about it. Tesla's having meetings about this. Elon's thinking about it. He's replying to Twitter about it. So when is it going to happen? How does it happen? That's kind of what we're brainstorming here. So we'd love to get some questions from you all on the chat if you have anything that you want me to cover. Tesla selling batteries to Arcimoto. I'd love for that to happen. Not really going to move the needle for Tesla, so I don't think it's their priority, but any more questions? SpaceX. I'm so close to being able to clue you guys into that. I promise I will. Any more questions? The Model 2 in India would be bigger too, a little more compact vehicle for 25,000. Maybe they're waiting for that to really push into the country when they can get the battery density there, because I think that would be a huge opportunity. Thoughts on a supercharger network in India to kickstart the transition to EVs? Ooh, I love that comment. And so that's probably what I'd be expecting this how to all start and play out would be like there's a big announcement about we're launching a supercharger network. Like that's the first probably news to drop is that they're going to build a supercharger network and start delivering some cars. So if you're really scheming on how to figure out when Tesla's going to enter India, where and what's going down, I'd be looking at like fancy hotels and like rest stops on the highway to where you think they're going to build the first supercharger and start scheming around that, trying to figure out what the hell's going on, because they're going to be announcing supercharger and destination chargers the second they enter the country, right? Okay, awesome super chat here. If you had to, would you bet Tesla would fix the grid for India or pushes for 2 to 3 wheeled cars? And would the stock absolutely go insane once they start solving grid issues? So I think Tesla's opportunity in India is huge. Commercial cars in India is also a thing. Like I think that's a big opportunity in India, but 2 to 3 wheel vehicles, even bigger. Fixing the grid, huge. And I think this isn't just an India opportunity. This is really a Tesla opportunity as a whole of like, now that they've figured out how to build these utility scale batteries and really proven that these batteries can respond in seconds, can hold the power like they say they can build them for cheap. They can actually deliver them, install them. That there's been a lot, like this is a groundbreaking new technology in energy storage that Tesla had to commercialize. This took so long for Tesla to get to the point where it would work and they would build these massive batteries. But like I said, like they've gone 0 to 1 on these grid scale batteries. And so now that they've developed this technology, it's all about how fast, governments of India and the electric companies want to partner with Tesla and implement this technology. But my theory is it's already 0 to 1. It's already better than the status quo. I don't know too much about the cost in the Indian market. I think the fact they have to import all of the battery and raw materials is sort of like a permanent friction to the adoption of renewables in the region. But I'm trying to see if you guys have any more good questions here. Would you like to see me do a full interview with maybe Vivas or someone new about just all about Indians, automotive market, electric there? I think that would be a sick interview. So, and just a sick video to make. So I'm going to make that probably and just give you more about that. Any more questions or anything I could answer? I'm going to read my notes here. Do I think they should prioritize batteries? Ooh, thanks for the super chat. Do I think they should prioritize the batteries they can make first in the semi-truck before India? Battery manufacturing is the bottleneck. Yes. Actually, a great point. And honestly, like, that's the bottleneck for Tesla for everything, is they don't have enough batteries. The world doesn't have enough batteries. There's not enough raw material supply chains. There's not enough refineries to build millions of cars per year. They don't have enough way to build batteries for the regions they're in. So what's the point of expanding to a smaller region that they're not in if they don't even literally have enough batteries to meet the demand for the regions they're in? That is the question. Don't add complexity before you can scale. And so, Tesla's biggest constraint, once again, is like the batteries, the raw materials. That's why this battery investor day is so important, because like I said, India, no raw materials. They're going to have to import all of their batteries. Like, that's why I think Novonix, someone should, like, that's why Novonix is so interesting. Not necessarily exactly Novonix, but their idea of like, we can build synthetic graphite because all the world's natural graphite relies on China. And like, we want more local supply chains. How are we going to do that? Oh, thanks for the super chat, Peter. Thanks for being you. Yeah. And so, yeah. Whoops. So I think battery manufacturing is the bottleneck. And that's why 2 to 3 wheel vehicles could be fascinating, though, because here's the flip side of that. If you're concentrating on batteries and this is your thing, well, then if it's more efficient, more MPG, like I can, with the amount of batteries in a Model 3, I could build like 6 Arcimotos probably, right? So all of a sudden, if I'm battery constrained, maybe moving into these smaller form factor vehicles, 2 to 3 wheels, is actually all of a sudden way more efficient with my constrained battery resources. So I don't know. Someone's super chatting me about the internet. I'm sorry if it's not good. I'm trying here. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate that super chat. So, I don't know. I'm like curious how much I should pitch to Tesla to buy Arcimoto or invest in Arcimoto or do a partner with them. This is something that I keep thinking of, like, is the shoe going to drop, or some company's just going to, like Amazon or Uber, so one of these big guys is finally going to realize that Arcimoto's got some tech they want. I don't know. But I would love to see Tesla. My favorite part about Tesla is that it's like a call option on Elon Musk's brain, right? Like, his inventions are what we're investing in. And so I think Elon Musk is thinking about this and like, okay, well, people are going to get around on 2 to 3 wheel things in India and probably in a lot of other cities around the world forever. Like, damn, I'm sorry, Greg, you're beefing about my quality. I don't know what to tell you, but like, I don't think people are going to get around in cars all the time. And I think there's a huge opportunity for people to get around in, two smaller form factor things. Like, I think, the Arcimoto, to me, really I was so pumped because I was like, somebody finally went to the drawing board and was like, wait, humans need to get their butt from here to here. How do we do that with the least amount of energy, with the most fun, with the most comfort? Let's just design, like, no preconceptions, like, start from scratch. Let's do that. That, to me, that idea, that fresh drawing board approach of the transportation industry is why I love Arcimoto. And so that's the only piece of innovation that Tesla misses. And maybe because they missed that innovation, that's the only reason they succeeded, because they sold you the car that you already had, that you already knew exactly what you wanted, that was already proven to have a massive multi-billion dollar market. So that's what they did first. But now the question is, what's the most efficient way to use those limited amount of battery cells that you're going to have? We want them carrying the most amount of butts around the most from the amount of raw materials that we put in those batteries. And so I have to think a smaller, and Elon Musk has gotten in a motorcycle crash. He doesn't want to do smaller form factor vehicles, but this is a gap in the lineup. This is the biggest risk to Tesla, is that people will move from A to Z around cities, not in cars, on micro electric mobility solutions. And Tesla's product offering they don't have that yet. And so that, to me, is the biggest risk. Man, I'm really sorry the audio is bad. I got a new mic, and it could be my new mic isn't like syncing, so I'm gonna work on that. But I love live streaming with you all, and taking your questions, so that's why I try and do this. Anyway, that's my last end up on the rant. Y'all are so awesome for tuning in. Thank you so much. Lots to think about here, and I'm probably gonna drop another big video about India and Arcimoto soon. So anyway, see y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. Is there more super chats I didn't answer? Have a good day. Peace.